Australia is one of the most influential nations in the world. Despite of having a smaller population, Australia has been able to project its soft power across the globe. Australian military is one of the most experienced militaries in the world. It participated in both World War, Korean War, and was also only Western nation which fought alongside US in Vietnam War. Australian forces also participated in Iraq and Afghanistan war as a NATO force. They have also recently participated in US intervention of Iraq against Islamic State. All these experiences makes Australian military a force to reckon with. But recently, Australia's relationship with China has been deteriorating. Chinese spies were found in Australian universities, and Australia's support for Hong Kong movement is not unknown. In this video, we'll be trying to find out with relatively smaller military can Australia sway away the potential Chinese incursion by its own. Just like India, Australia also have a geographical advantage over China. To be able to successfully launch an air and amphibious operation against Australia, China will need to enter international waters. And Chinese relationship with these countries is not very uplifting either. China does have two approaches. In first, China can cut through Indonesian territory, in which China will have to take permission from Indonesia to be able to cross Indonesian airspace and Indonesian water, which is highly unlikely, assuming that China will not want to start a war to be able to start another war. In second option, China can go through Papua New Guinea. Now, this option seems more convincing because Papua New Guinea is already in a financial crisis and seeking for Chinese help. But there is a big disadvantage in this option. The geographical barrier already creates a very down situation for China. And China is still in a process of building a fleet of heavy lift aircraft. So they won't be able to deploy lots of long-range transporters, and if China chooses Papua New Guinea route, it will become even more tough for PLAF to deploy more paratroopers in Australian shores. Without air refuelers, no Chinese aircraft can travel above 5,000 km. Even Chinese medium bomber H-6K will need an air refuel to reach Australia. But if Chinese are able to arm these H-6K bombers with an air-launched version of DF-21 ballistic missiles, they can save about 3,000 km. But this missile is still under development and haven't seen a test. PLA Navy will also have a very hard time fighting against Australian Navy and Air Force, especially when they enter Australian surveillance zone. Chinese aircraft carriers and JF-15 fighters are still very unreliable and will be outnumbered by Australian Air Force. In this case, PLA Navy will be constantly harassed by Australian Air Force. So despite of the fact that China has a better amphibious capability than Australia, deploying troops on Australian shores will be a fatal bloodbath for Chinese troops. So although being outnumbered by China and despite of having a relatively inferior technology, Australia can still give China a bloody nose. China does have a huge fleet of submarines, but they will need to pass through a narrow belt of islands. And Australian Navy would know where to look and shoot. And if we consider the involvement of NATO forces and US in this war, well, then this can lead to Third World War. I assume the best bet for China is not using its hard power but using its soft power. Australia already has a high economic reliance over China. Well, that's the topic for some other video. If you like these kind of videos, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon. Also, please share this video. Thank you very much.